Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a Gunner Heat PC video. Going to be talking a bit about Gunner Heat PC and what is coming up with Steam Nextfest and Gunner Heat PC itself, because Gunner Heat PC is going to actually be featured as part of Steam's Nextfest, which is kind of like the upcoming showcase for indie games. Now, for those of you who don't know what Gunner Heat PC is, what it is kind of a pseudo tank simulator without being a full true tank simulator like Steel Beast. Think of something along the lines of the happy medium gap between an arcadey tank game like World of Tanks or War Thunder, probably closer to War Thunder since War Thunder does have simulator mode, and in the middle of an actual full true simulator like Steel Beast. So you kind of get the simplistic controls that you'd get with an arcadey type tank game, but you have the simulator aspects of an actual tank simulator, such as you're going to have to laze the target, the different types of ammo you fire at the different tanks, different vehicles in the game is actually going to matter, such as heat is more effective against armor personnel carriers, where a Sabo round from, say, the M1 Abrams can actually cut clean through some of those lightly armored vehicles. It does have voice lines, folks. For those of you who didn't know, it does have voice lines, and one of those many voices in the game is actually the Mighty One himself. I am actually usually the loader for the American tank crews when it comes to the game. Now, that being said, as I said, the game is going to be featured as part of Steam's Nextfest. What they're going to do, Action Scripter, which is the lead developer of the game, is going to be putting up a trimmed down Patreon build of Gunner Heat PC on Steam between June 13th to June 20th during the Nextfest. That being said, for those of you who are not familiar, this is actually a Patreon project. This project's been supported by Patreons since its earliest days of development, and it has been quickly expanding and gaining development, such as new missions, different ways of doing missions, such as a random mission generator, different types of objectives, adding in new vehicles, tank crew voice lines, improving of graphics, optimizations, things of that nature, improving of the AI. So the game's been actually in development for, I want to say 2 years, probably about 3 years, because I've actually been part of a community contributor, been part of kind of pseudo, if you will, with Gunner Heat PC for about 2 years now. So it's been a project I've been following, and I honestly do remember the earliest days of Gunner Heat PC, where it was kind of like, you know, okay, what's this? And then this is what we have now, which is a vast improvement compared to what we started with years ago. That being said, too, the game is also more focused towards the Cold War era period. So this is more or less a pseudo, if the Cold War went hot, East versus West. Right now what we have in the game is Americans versus the East Germans, but there is plans and actually work being done to add additional NATO assets, such as the West Germans, and even additional Soviet bloc assets, such as the Russians, the Polish, and the Czechoslovakians. So this has been a project that's been expanding for a while, and that being said, it's still in development. It still needs work done to it, etc., etc. However, if you are really, really interested in finding out more about Gunner Heat PC, I'm sure there is other videos from different people who've created content on YouTube about Gunner Heat PC, as well as I have a whole playlist on my YouTube. There is also the Gunner Heat PC YouTube channel. That is a good place to go to find out how the game has been progressing and developing, as Action Scripter does upload the community streams to the YouTube channel to keep people abreasted of what is going on with Gunner Heat PC. Also, that being said, Monday, June 13th, there's a developer stream planned at 5 p.m. EDT on the Steam page, as well as there is a second developer stream Saturday, June 18th at 2 p.m. EDT. So you can go check those places out, as well as they do have a web page and the Patreon page, obviously. And I will put links in the video description down below for Gunner Heat PC. But this is what I have to say about all that, folks. If you've been paying attention to Gunner Heat PC, if you've been watching my YouTube channel or anyone else's YouTube channel, and you've been following the progress of Gunner Heat PC, and just have a general interest of Gunner Heat PC, and maybe even enjoy the idea of the concept of a tank simulator without the complexity of being a full blue tank simulator, take time, get on Steam, download the free demo that's going to be hitting from June 13th to June 20th during the Steam's Nextfest. That is definitely going to be the time to really check out this game, because even though it is going to be a trimmed down version of the game, it's going to give you more of an indicator of what Gunner Heat PC is like, what it's going to be like, because honestly, when it comes to the general gameplay, the overall theme, and things of that nature, that really hasn't changed in the last 2 years. All that's done is actually improved, such as now you have the gunnery overwrite command, which when I started following it, there was no gunnery overwrite command. Crew voice lines, which when I started following Gunner Heat PC, there was no crew voice lines. Things of that nature. So generally, unlike most games I can think of, there's actually been no step back, and it's always been a constant step forward. Yes, the development progress has been slow, but that being said, the game's only actually got about a development team of 5 people. And this is definitely a huge undertaking that they're going for, as they're also trying to, when they do the vehicles, they're trying to translate the real world, realistic styles, themes, and controls and etc. of the vehicle, such as how the fire control systems work, how the armor works, how good was the gun really. They're not worried about game balance or anything like that. They're worried about making the game feel realistic without a whole lot of complexity to it. Also, that being said too, while the game that you will be downloading during the Steam Next Fest does not have multiplayer, currently Gunner Heat PC itself doesn't have multiplayer, but it is planned to have a co-op multiplayer mode in the future. That's still something that's kind of being worked on, figured out, etc. But either ways, that's really all I got to cover for Gunner Heat PC. Get on Steam, check it out, set reminders for the developer streams, check out their YouTube channel, check out my YouTube channel, as well as there's other people who have done content for Gunner Heat PC over the last few years. So there's plenty of information that you can get about Gunner Heat PC and find out more about the game and see if this would be up your alley. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this video about Gunner Heat PC and enjoyed finding out the news about Gunner Heat PC coming to Steam, hashtag soon for Steam Next Fest. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day. And also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. Have yourself a good one.